You're listening to the 49 Carats podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats podcast. I'm your host, Steph. It is Saturday, August 2nd. And as I've mentioned to you guys before, haven't been able to go to the last the last three 49ers practices for camp because it hasn't been open to the fans. So really only the beat writers have been allowed to be there. And so really these last few practices just been depending on what they have to say about what's going on. I, of course, can let you know what happened in the practices previous to that. And of course, Monday will be the 49ers' next practice. And I'll have more updates for you guys then because we'll be open to the fans at that point. But as far as these last three practices, I believe this is now the third practice block that the 49ers have had in training camp. So like I've mentioned before, they have three practices within a block. They have the kind of like ease in sort of day that's kind of mostly light. Then the toughest practice of the 3-day block is that middle one, most intense, usually takes the longest. They do more 11 on 11 reps. And then the final practice of the 3-day block is kind of a lighter, lower energy sort of day, and kind of eases them into the day off that they have. So they'll have the day off tomorrow, Sunday, and we'll be back practicing Monday where, like I said, it will be open to the fans. So let me just give you guys the updates from this block of practices. And of course, as always with the 49ers, we got to start with the injuries because there's quite a bit. So let's start off with some of the injuries here. We're tracking a number of injuries with the cornerbacks, with the wide receivers, as far as the two players that I think probably have the longest timelines. And again, these are players that aren't on the PUP list already or anything like that. So wide receiver Jacob Cowing, as well as cornerback Renardo Green, both with hamstring injuries. Kyle Shanahan has said like he expects them back around the week of August 10th, or he said specifically the week that they play the Raiders in the preseason game. So that would be the week of August 10th. At any point in that week is kind of when Kyle is expecting those guys back as of right now. So still some ways to go for those guys. Then Deommodore Lenoir dealing with a hip issues, hips bothering him. He could be back as soon as Monday, but, no definitive thing there. That's just kind of what Kyle Shanahan said that, they're going to let him rest it and miss this block of practices. So hopefully he could be back for the following block, which, like I said, opens up on Monday. And he was working on the side field. Lenoir was apparently today. So hopefully that's a good sign that he's ramping up and he's moving and could be ready for Monday, or at the very least shortly after that. Then the two other players that I think like really don't have a timetable right now and are maybe day-to-day is wide receiver Juwan Jennings with his calf injury and running back Jordan James with the knee injury. So both of those guys day-to-day. Earlier this week, the 49ers signed Amir Abdullah, running back who, he's had some playing time and starting time in the league. So that was kind of interesting, or just like an intriguing signing to me. And it seems like based on what the beat writers have said about him so far, like he has fresh legs. He's looked pretty good so far. So Amir Abdullah could be a surprise if he's able to kind of stick around, and maybe the 49ers end up tempted to keep him on the roster. Who knows? But just a name, I guess, to keep an eye on and see if he can continue looking good as training camp goes on. Then we have Nick Bosa and Colton McKivitz, who did not practice today because they're dealing with some soreness. So Nick Wagner of ESPN, 49ers beat writer, said they're not expected to miss a lot of time. In fact, for something as simple as soreness, and this is just my assumption here, that maybe they just had today, Saturday, the rest day. And then of course the whole team does not practice Sunday. So that, maybe the team was like, okay, we'll give you guys an additional day of rest. And then if you guys feel good on Monday, you can rejoin the team then. That's kind of what I'm assuming for both Bosa and McKivitz, and hoping that's the case. But yeah, it does not seem serious for either of those guys. Then we have some new injuries that happen in today's practice. Kyle Juszczyk left today's practice, as well as Isaac Guerrero. As far as Isaac Guerrero, it sounds like it was a shoulder injury. And again, hopefully not too serious for him. As far as Kyle Juszczyk, let me see here. I'm trying to find the note for Juice. Yeah, so Guerrero issue came in special teams, right shoulder, it looked like for him. Doesn't seem like we have a lot of information on Juszczyk. He got hurt in individual drills, so that sounds like probably fairly early in today's practice. And he moved slowly to the weight room, according to Nick Wagner. Sounds like Kittle went to stop by and check on him, and then Juszczyk went to the locker room. So, a little scary, I guess, there for Juszczyk, that he felt like he had to go to the locker room shortly after that injury. Something to keep an eye on there for him. Hopefully it's not too serious, but we'll probably get more information on Monday. So those are the injuries we're tracking right now. Again, some on the longer term side, like Cowan and Green, but like not super long, just maybe a couple more weeks. And then, the other injuries, it kind of seems like could be less serious in day to day. So that's for the injuries. And then one thing I wanted to talk about today as well is let me talk about the players back from practice. Curtis Robinson rejoined the team yesterday, coming off the PUP list. He looked good even prior to coming off the PUP list, like in his rehab. We were able to see him, the previous week, working on the side field, working with the trainers. He seemed to be moving really well, so I knew it was only a matter of time before he was activated from the PUP list, and it sounds like, he's good and ready to go. He's practiced the last 2 practices now, including today, Saturday. So excited to see Curtis Robinson. Like he was really good and solid in last year's training camp. So I know he's coming back from injury, so I'm expecting he's going to get eased in, of course. And, as I always say, return to play is not return to performance. So maybe he will need some time to reacclimate his body and his confidence again. But, he looked good last year. So hopefully he can string together some strong practices and get some action in these preseason games. Then Jair Brown and Jordan Watkins, who missed yesterday's practice. They were back today with the rest of the team. I don't know what the injury was, or what was going on with Jordan Watkins, but clearly not very serious if he only misses 1 practice. So Jair Brown, it sounded like it was a rest day for him, but like I said, he is back. So good to have those guys back. Okay, so this is what I really want to talk about, is stock watch, right, for some of the players. And I want to focus on this block 3 of practices, right? Who's standing out of all these players in this block. I think it's block 3. Like I said, it was the 7th, 8th, and 9th practice, I think. So, within these last 3 days, which players are being mentioned by the beat writers the most? Well, I keep seeing Nick Bosa getting mentioned all the time. And if you guys have been watching my videos even from last week, right, when those training camp practices that, I was at as well, dude was on a tear. He was beating pretty much everyone he was going up against. And I get it. Like, he's had some one-on-ones that he's lost against Trent, like even 1 or 2 against Colton McKivitz. But for the most part, and especially in team period, this dude is turning it up and he's wreaking havoc. Again, I mentioned he did not practice today, Saturday, but according to Nick Wagner, he would have had 6 would-be sacks on Friday. So yesterday's practice, he had 6 would-be sacks. That's insane, actually, if you think about it, because, I mean, if you think about how many snaps you get in a game, and 6 sacks would be crazy. You think about in team period, it's a way smaller, way more condensed number of snaps that you get. So for him to have gotten 6 sacks in a single practice and team period, that's crazy. And apparently that included move the ball period, where they simulate moving the ball, as you would guess. And yeah, that's impressive. Based on what I've seen so far from Nick Bosa in camp, like, this looks like one of those years. It looks like one of those years for him. Maybe let's put in our DPOY bets to start the season. Because I'll just say this, like, I get it's just training camp, but usually when guys look this good in training camp, it does usually carry over into the season. Like, you think about Brandon Ayuk, the training camp he had a couple years ago. What was it? Was it Lenore last year? Or I forget who it was last year. Lenore 2 years ago as well. Like, the guys, some guys just look ready. They just look ready for the season, and you just know it's going to carry into it. So that's kind of how I feel about Nick Bosa right now. Like I said, he's gotten wins against McKivitz. He's gotten wins against Trent Williams and other guys. He's getting wins in stunts, and he's just all over the place. So it's been awesome to see. I think we want to see that version of Nick Bosa once again, and I think having Bryce Huff is going to unlock that. Having these new faces on the D line that we're looking forward to, like Michael Williams, like that could only help Nick Bosa as well. I think it'll keep teams from putting all of their focus on Bosa like they've been able to the last 1-2 years, right? So I think with that, he's going to eat. He's going to eat this year. I just know it. Another guy who definitely stocking up. He's stock up in the last 3 practices. And ever since he's come back to training camp in general, Ricky Pierw has been looking great. And I think the thing that jumps off is the chemistry that he has with Brock Purdy. And I did get to see some of that in the practices I attended, because I saw him in 2 practices when he was doing the 2 on 1 day off thing. So he's still being eased in, but I actually think this was the first block where they gave him the 3 days to practice. So maybe he's done being eased in. So I guess within the last 2 practices, he would have had 8 catches. And again, I kind of want to point out 8 catches. Like, if you don't think that feels like a lot for training camp, for team period, which isn't that many snaps, it is a lot, right? So I definitely think that's impressive. And apparently in today's practice, Saturday, he was 4 of 4 with Brock Purdy. 1 of 1 with Mac Jones. So 5 of 5 on catches for the day for Pierw. And he also got the ball a couple of other times as well. So you love to see that from Pierw, because, again, had the promising rookie season. I think with the offseason, having a full offseason that he's had, and we know all the work that he's put in to the offseason and all the work that he did with Brock Purdy. I think he's ready. I think he's ready to take that next step, be more familiar within the offense, have this chemistry with Brock Purdy where, you really feel like they're on the same page, they're locked in. Those are the kind of things we're seeing so far in training camp, that the rhythm, the timing, those 2 guys are in sync. So I think that's really encouraging. And I believe one of the beat writers said he looks like the best receiver out there. And granted, we don't have Ayuk, we don't have Juwan Jennings out there, but for a player who was a first-round pick just a year ago, that's the kind of thing you expect to hear and you love to hear. So yeah, looking forward to seeing more of Ricky Pierw, especially Monday and next week, as well as training camp rolls on. But CJ West is another guy that since the pads have come on, like he has just been a guy that, especially in one-on-ones, he's winning like all the time. And so it sounds like, according to the beat writers, he continues to do that, especially in one-on-ones. Team period, it's a little a mix, but it definitely sounds like he's trying some things out, and that's encouraging to hear as well. I guess he spoke with the media earlier today, and I got a couple of those quotes. So for one, he did mention he's watched a lot of DJ Jones tape. So he's very familiar, and he said, quote, I look a lot like that guy. We have the same frame, same height, arm length. We kind of have the same play style, end quote. So yeah, like the comparisons are definitely there. We've been saying it since draft season. Now that you see him on the team, you know that like that role is going to be very similar. And DJ Jones was a guy who the 49ers drafted. I believe he was a 6th round pick, but when they drafted him, it was like it didn't take him very long to look like a guy, right? And it kind of feels like CJ West already, like the skill set that he has, is faring very well in camp so far. Again, especially since the pads have come on. So whatever's working for him is working. He also said, as far as Nick Bosa, like he said, quote, every time Bosa goes, I watch every single rep. I watch his hands. I watch how deliberate he is, end quote. So you just love to hear that from rookies as well. Like just the fact that he's soaking up game and he's taking it all in. Nick Bosa definitely is a guy that you want to be watching very closely, and anything you could do to be similar and emulate him in your own game could do no wrong. Like it could only help you. So that's great to hear from CJ West. All of that seems to definitely be paying off for him. Then a couple of guys that we've also been hearing about, maybe not as much as the players I just mentioned, but they're definitely stacking their days. Colton McKivitz, especially in one-on-ones, I think McKivitz has put together some good reps. Like I said, McKivitz has gotten one-on-one wins against Bosa. I talked about last week the practice in which they had like 3 consecutive one-on-one snaps together. I think the challenge has been great for McKivitz, and I think it was him himself that said he wants to have an all-pro year, or he's going to have an all-pro year. Listen, I don't know about that, but I do believe in manifestation. At the very least, like, even if he gets close to that, we as fans will be very happy. So you got to have that mindset. Love that for McKivitz. He's on the final year of his contract going into 2025. So usually that's the year where most guys ball out, and he's probably going to get a bag at the end of this. So, I think he's betting on himself for the year. So that could only mean good things for the 49ers and their offensive line. So I know how y'all feel about Colton McKivitz, but we also want him to have a great year because guess what? He plays on our team. So another guy that has had the arrow up for him, I think most of camp at this point, or within the last couple of blocks, definitely continue to see him make plays, in particular pass breakups. Jacob Robinson, the undrafted free agent, here and there, like you're seeing the flashes, like you're another pass breakup on Saturday. That was against Jordan Watkins. So I think that's very encouraging to see that he continues to string some of these together. And it's not an every single practice sort of thing for Jacob, but, to just have a number of PBUs already in the span of camp so far, I think is a positive, especially for an undrafted free agent. Like that's how you're going to have opportunities to make the roster and or stick around via the practice squad. And we've been talking about this corner group. It is with Lenore and Green out right now with injuries. I think right now it's been Trey Brown and it's been who's the other guy? Trey Brown and Dallas Flowers. And so Darrell Luter, like I said, didn't practice in one of these practices today, right? I think it was today. And Trey Brown and Flowers were the two top corners during that practice. So it seems like you know who your top two corners are in Lenore and Green. And Robert Saleh said that there's a competition for whoever that third corner is going to be. So, like, if any of those two guys got hurt, who's going to be that guy to come in and start in their place? That's the guy that Robert Saleh is saying, like, we got to figure that out. So it sounds like Trey Brown or Dallas Flowers could be that guy. As far as the nickel spot, it's still Upton Stout. And it's Upton Stout's spot to lose. So that's really encouraging. But yeah, like I said, like Jacob Robinson has a chance to get in the mix, at least as a practice squad guy. So at worst, I think right now is kind of how he's tracking to me. So yeah, that's definitely really encouraging to hear. And listen, there's a couple of other things I wanted to talk with you guys, and that is the kicker competition. We're all looking forward to seeing how this plays out, I think, right? Like I think most fans are just ready for a kicker they can depend on, regardless of who that is. So right now it's Greg Joseph, Jake Moody. Every other practice, they're getting their opportunity to kick in team periods. So that's the one, those are the kicks that quote unquote count in practice, or at least that the beat writers will report on. But they also have the warm-up kicks even prior to that, I really think Brent Boyer is paying a lot of attention to those kicks as well and evaluating them in those as well. So, but as far as today's team period and the kickers, Greg Joseph was 4 for 4, Jake Moody 3 of 4, and he had a miss, and Matt Barrows corrected this. It was wide right on his deepest attempt. So Joseph so far in camp on the kicks that count, right, in team period, Joseph is 22 of 24 and Jake Moody is 21 of 24. As I've been saying throughout this entire training camp so far that I've been seeing both of these guys kick, I don't think that anyone is pulled away with it or that either of the two have like lost the job quite convincingly enough yet. Like, I understand Jake Moody is missing, and if he continues to miss, like the margin of error, I think, in this competition so far has been like low. And so Moody being 21 of 24 versus Joseph's 22 of 24, like maybe that's a difference in it. But yeah, I hope someone makes this an easier decision at the end of the day. Like someone either, messes up real bad and maybe we see that in a preseason game, or someone just like does not miss any for the rest of camp. Like I'd love to see that for any one of these guys. It's just so far to me, it feels like too close to call right now. So we'll continue to keep an eye on the kicker competition. Here's another thing to keep an eye on. The 49ers worked out a wide receiver, and it's Robbie Chosen who they worked out today, or at least it was reported today. And something to keep in mind is just that, like, usually if guys are getting worked out, you got to pay attention to the position this time of the year, especially is because, like, maybe there's a player in that position who's gotten hurt. So Robbie Chosen maybe signals that someone else got hurt. Like, and again, Jordan Watkins missed yesterday's practice, but he was back today. So that tells me it wasn't serious for Jordan Watkins, definitely not serious enough to sign someone else. But maybe Juwan Jennings, if they feel like he's going to miss more time, not sure. They also signed Andy Isabella, right? Like last week too. So maybe they're just preparing for the joint practices that are coming up. You definitely want bodies out there so guys can, stay fresh. But yeah, something to keep an eye on. Robbie Chosen did work out and briefly signed with the 49ers last year, so maybe they know he's a dependable camp body. He really hasn't had meaningful game snaps since his time with the Dolphins, I want to say. So, all right, well, that's all for today's show. Like I said, Monday is going to be the show where I'll be back doing a show with Weston, and then of course I'll have some content from like the actual practice that I'll be back being able to attend. So yeah, stay tuned for that. One thing that we want to do, me and my brother, because I'm on my brother's spot, if you guys didn't notice with the man cave background here. One thing we want to do before we get on out of here is for our fantasy league, and we've been doing this the last 3 seasons. For our fantasy league, we would like to do our, what would you call it? Like the
draft selection.
The draft selection. So we choose
draft lottery.
Lottery. Yeah, I think that's the way to say it. So Fabio here, my brother, his dog Jax. His dog Jax over here, and we're gonna do our draft lottery. So feel free to stick around if you want and know the people from our league are tuning in.
Steph, actually, before we get into the draft lottery selection, a few questions for you, fantasy related. I'll try and keep it 49er friendly. But a few questions for you. Let's say you're drafted in the 8th spot. You have the 8th pick, right?
Okay.
You have Derrick Henry. You have Genty, rookie running back from the Raiders, and you have CMC there on the 8th pick. Maybe you're looking for a running back. Who do you take out of those 3?
That's really tough. And okay, I'm gonna walk through the selections here, or just my thought process. So, as it pertains to Derrick Henry, like every season, how many seasons in a row have we been doing this where it's like he's got to slow down at some point? Literally every year for like at least the last 5 years, we're like, I mean, this got to be the year that that happens.
Right.
So I always get scared of that. But then whoever selects him does end up getting a dog and a potential league winner for the year. Because not only is he still a very effective runner, but he gets the goal line work, which is huge, especially in fantasy. So you could take that risk, but I've always been on the safer side, and for some reason, I'm just like, no, I can't do it, because like, what if this is the year he slows down? I don't know. Okay, so that's Henry. Then we've got Ashton Jeanty. So I love the workload that I think he's going to be getting with the Raiders. I mean, you don't get a running back that high without the intention of like putting some tread on those tires, you know, and then also
little ball possession.
Yeah, the fact that he's a rookie as well, you know, he's young. You saw the production that, you know, he had in college. So I think all that would be very intriguing to me. And then Christian McCaffrey, of course, is like, you know, he could be a league winner. He's done it before, especially in this Kyle Shanahan offense. But you also know there's some risk there, especially with the injury that he had last year. So I think out of those 3 options, I got to go with the younger guy who's going to have volume.
Wow.
All three of these guys are going to have tremendous volume. I think we know that, right? Yeah. And we talked about Henry's goal line work.
Right.
CMC has a reception. So if you're in a PPR league, like maybe you go CMC.
Yep.
But I think the safest option of the 3, and that's crazy to say because he's a rookie, right?
Right.
But I think the safest option is going to be G&T because I think he's going to get the volume, fresh legs.
Yeah.
You know, we got some people agreeing. So okay.
Hey, with the rookies though, it's like last year everyone was big on Marvin Harrison Jr. Remember that? A lot of people taking him 2nd round, early 3rd, and what happened there?
True.
Kind of a bust, right?
It was a bust.
So you got to be careful with the rookies. Last question before we dive into the to the draft lottery. Of the 49er players, like who do you like at the ADP? Like who would you take? I see a lot of fantasy football experts talking about Jennings, talking about Slick Rick. Like who do you like? Like who's the guy that you kind of maybe are circling on your draft board at a good ADP?
Okay, so I haven't done a lot of mock drafts yet. I will get into it, but I haven't yet. So I'm like curious, for example, where Ricky Pearsall's at in ADP. Like, if you remember, like what range?
Oh, he's far down.
I know.
He is far down. Yeah.
I know Jennings, for example, has probably gone up a lot.
Jennings and Ricky are kind of like very similar. And
they always do that to the 49ers
you know what's funny?
receivers.
Like
they always put
Debo,
them close.
Debo's also in that same range of Ricky,
That's funny.
Jennings. Debo's kind of also within that same range. Kind of like your 10th round to 12th round. Kind of seeing him there, but
I want to say Pearsall. But if Jennings is close to Pearsall, like that would be interesting to me as well. My assumption is that Pearsall and most ADPs will be a little lower down than Jennings. So I'd want to take Pearsall, because what I'm hearing about Pearsall so far in camp and what we've seen so far in camp is like he's looking great. The chemistry that he has with Brock is there. He's going to be a common target, for the team. So I expect him to have a really strong season as long as he stays healthy. But, you can have those same concerns with Jennings too, who is currently dealing with a calf injury as well. So,
all right, let's get into it. I know we have some folks from our league that have jumped on. Glad you guys could join us. Where you draft, kind of a big deal, right? Like it kind of sets you up for success. And man, let's go. Let's get ready for this.
All right. So what we do and what we've done before for the last few years, we throw all the names of our draft in wheelofnames.com. And we basically, what I'm going to do is shuffle. This is the order that the teams were in the league. If you look at it right now, it's in this order. So that's how I entered them, but I'm going to shuffle them anyway. So now
let's do one more. Let's do a few more shuffles, because I don't want anyone saying collusion, right? So let's do a few more.
All right, you guys could see this. So, all right, okay, that's enough shuffles. So we got 10 players in here. All right, are we ready to give it a spin?
Let's go.
So what order are we going?
We're gonna go from 10 to 1. So,
okay, so
this next this pick right here is gonna be the 10th pick, and then we'll go from 10 to 1. So let's go.
All right.
What are you looking? Well, you said you haven't done any mock drafts. For me,
no, I haven't.
I'm looking pick 2, 3, or 4. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Pick 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm rooting for right now, so I'm gonna just go with it. So number 10, pick 10. We've got
Bacon is King. Yeah.
Pick 10. So we're gonna remove him. Congrats on pick 10.
Bacon is King actually got the first pick last year.
Ooh,
so it's funny.
Maybe he likes.
So he's going to the end this year.
This is pick number 9.
This is pick number 9. Year. Fighting Light. Oh, don't go to the Pones. Oh.
That was really close. What the hell? Okay, so Fighting Ligers. So Christo, your pick number 9.
Number 9, Fighting Ligers. There we go.
Dude,
that was so close. That was so close. So does that mean Pones maybe go 8?
I don't know.
Who knows?
Nah, it doesn't go in that order. So
I don't know, but you never know. Pick 8. Pick 8. Steph.
Okay. All right. I'll take it.
Hey,
that's not bad.
Didn't I just ask you who would you take? Who would you take if you were at the 8th pick?
You did just ask
me. So are we thinking maybe Henry?
So now everyone knows who I'm going.
Are we thinking Henry then?
Collusion, conspiracy theory.
Oh, let's go.
Father was setting me up.
7th pick.
All right.
That's actually funny.
Pick 7.
Pick 7. Here we go.
Let's go.
Oh, damn.
Dude, oh my God. So not only that, but you're going to pick before me.
Oh, it's got pick 7. League winner last year, the Phones, with the 7th pick.
Now you're going to take Chinty before me, huh?
I don't want running back, round 1. I'll say that.
Okay. I usually don't either, actually. I go wide receiver early.
Pick 6, Joe Mama. Let's go.
Joe Mama.
Finished number 2, 2nd place last year. My boy Steve. Let's go. I still see. Before we give it a go, let's see who's left. We got Adam still left. We got my boy Angel. Got Carlos. We got Yvonne. And then who's Hector, Zika. He's the one hated guy in the league. We got the final 5. Let's go. This is for pick number 5. Pick 5 here. Let's go.
All right.
Ace, that's Yvonne. So Yvonne and Ace go number 5. Looking good for the final 4, man. There's some great players there in the top 4. Some studs at running back in the top 4.
Like, my thing is, like, do you believe in the curses? Like,
ring or busy? No, ring or bust.
Bust. My bad. I spelled that wrong. I just realized.
Ring or busy. Ring or bust. So Carlos takes pick number 4. That was 4. Yeah.
4.
So the final 3 here, we got Zika, my boy Hector. We got Adam's a-hole. My boy Adam. And then, are you kidding me? That's Angel. So top 3 picks, man. Getting exciting.
All right, let's do it.
I will say this: the 3rd pick in last year's draft won the whole thing, won the league.
Okay.
So 3 does have a little good luck charm to it.
Because the first pick is always like, a lot of people don't want that because
it takes like what, 19 picks for you to come back, right?
But, you know, like, remember when CMC was like first pick, like he
got injured, yeah.
So it's like that happens a lot.
So Angel, 3rd pick, and then we got Adam and Hector here fighting it off for the final 2. Hector gets number 2, which means Adam got the number 1 pick. My boy Adam, number 1 pick, Niner faithful.
You remain.
Adam got the number 1 pick. It's only fitting though, because out of those 2, Hector's the Cowboys fan. Adam, the Niner fan. It's only fitting that the Niner fan takes number 1.
We don't want the
We don't want but that's funny. I asked you, who would you take at the 8th pick if those 3 running backs were there? And
that was a setup. He set me up. I feel set up.
All right. Well, that's cool. Thanks for letting us do this for a 3rd year now.
Thank you guys for tuning in, sticking around for that. I know a few of you did, so appreciate all of you. If you guys missed the first half of the show, go ahead, hit that rewind and check it out. Just talked about the last 2-3 practices and who's been standing out, some of the injuries we're tracking. So check that out. But for now, folks, have a good rest of your Saturday. Like I said, I'll be back live on Monday. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Audio listeners, leave a rating, leave a review. But for now, folks, peace.